That BMW in the parking garage? Pierce Brosnan isn't driving it, and neither is anyone you're supposed to see. A ghost driver appears on screen, the villain's dialogue doesn't match his lips, and the entire third act was written in a tent while cameras were rolling. These are 15 hidden details you completely missed in Tomorrow Never Dies. Number 15. When Q demonstrates Bond's remote-controlled BMW 750iL, the camera lingers on a license plate most viewers ignore. Look closely, it reads BMT 2144. Now recall the iconic Aston Martin DB5 from Goldfinger, which carried plate BMT 216A. The numbering pattern is nearly identical, and that is no accident. Production designer Peter Lamont deliberately engineered this callback to the Sean Connery era, bridging 30 years of franchise history through a single prop. You can spot the plate again when the BMW crashes spectacularly through the Avis rental office window. Lamont, a veteran of 12 Bond productions, buried these visual signatures throughout his sets. One prop transforms a forgettable car chase into a love letter to the franchise. That Avis crash pays off another hidden detail entirely. Number 14. Jonathan Pryce delivers one of Elliot Carver's key speeches aboard the stealth ship, explaining his broadcasting rights deal. He says the next 100 years, but watch his lips during the close-up. His mouth clearly forms the word 50. This is a post-production overdub, inserted to make the villain's ambitions sound grander after principal photography wrapped. The same problem appears moments later when Carver says, "I'll leave you to Stamper and his toys." Pause that line carefully. His mouth stops moving before, and his toys is heard. Director Roger Spottiswoode was working under enormous time pressure, and ADR sessions patched dialogue that the edit demanded. Once you notice the lip-sync failure, every Pryce scene invites scrutiny. The production chaos behind these fixes runs much deeper. Number 13. The remote control BMW chase is one of the most inventive action sequences in Bond history. Brosnan steers from the back seat using his Ericsson phone while the front seat appears empty. Except at the 1 hour and 18-second mark, a stunt driver is clearly visible through the windshield for nearly 2 seconds. That driver is Steve Griffin, who actually controlled the car while crouched on the rear floorboard, watching monitors connected to cameras in the wing mirrors. The production used 17 BMW 750iLs, 4 of which were rebuilt with hidden rear steering wheels by the special effects team. Look even closer during the sequence, and you will catch the rear window blowing out, repairing itself between cuts, then shattering again. The BMW partnership itself tells a bigger story. Number 12. Screenwriter Bruce Fierstein conceived the title Tomorrow Never Lies as a direct reference to Carver's newspaper Tomorrow. He had drawn inspiration from the Beatles' track Tomorrow Never Knows. Producers Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson approved Lies and dictated it to an assistant for faxing to MGM. The assistant typed dies instead of lies, a single letter transposition. MGM executives received the fax, loved the mistake, and refused to change it back. Fierstein confirmed this in a 2008 Vanity Fair article, calling it celluloid history born from a typo. Watch every newspaper headline reading Tomorrow throughout the film. That word was supposed to set up a punchline about lies that now makes no sense. Other rejected titles included Shame Lady and Zero Wind Chill. The music suffered a similar disconnect. Number 11. Composer David Arnold built the entire musical score around a song called Surrender, performed by K.D. Lang. Every action cue, every emotional beat, every thematic callback draws from that melody. Then MGM demanded a bigger commercial name for the opening titles. Sheryl Crow won the slot, but her song was chosen so late that Arnold had no time to integrate it into the score. The result is a film whose opening titles play one song, while every subsequent minute of music references a completely different one. Listen during the motorcycle chase. That propulsive theme is Surrender, not Crow's contribution. Compare the opening titles to the end credits, where Lang's version finally plays. Crow's single peaked at number 12 in the UK. Many Bond fans consider the buried version superior. The motorcycle chase hides something even more extraordinary. Number 10. French stuntman Jean-Pierre Goy performed the motorcycle to helicopter transition jump without CGI assistance. He accelerated from 0 to 62 miles per hour in under 6 seconds, launched off a wooden ramp, crashed through a breakaway 5-story balcony facade, cleared a 45-foot gap, and landed on a 20-foot mountain built from 10,000 cardboard boxes. A dummy doubling actress Michelle Yeoh was strapped to his back throughout. Pause the helicopter crash at the chase's climax frame by frame. The pilot and crew visibly become crash test dummies at the moment of impact. The only digital addition was the helicopter's spinning rotors, added for crew safety. 12 of the 15 BMW R1200C motorcycles used in production were completely destroyed. Brosnan and Yeoh's close-ups were filmed on half-bikes towed by a quad. Yeoh's fighting style created a different kind of chaos. Number 9. Yeoh performed every fighting scene herself, bringing full-contact Hong Kong martial arts technique to a British production. For the bicycle shot fight, producers brought in Jackie Chan's Stuntmen Association because no Western stunt crew would take the job. The full contact style was considered too dangerous for British and American performers trained in pulled punch choreography. Spottiswoode deployed what he called an old Hitchcock trick during the motorcycle escape sequence. He told Brosnan privately not to let Yeoh drive the BMW. Then he gave Yeoh the exact same instruction without telling Brosnan. Watch their physical tussle over the handlebars when they approach the bike. That struggle is completely genuine, neither performer aware the other received identical direction. According to production accounts, the resulting tension was so authentic it required no additional takes. On-set tensions extended well beyond stunts. Number 8. Terry Hatcher discovered she was pregnant just days after being cast as Paris Carver. Her scenes were immediately fast-tracked before she began to show, compressing her entire role into the earliest weeks of production. Tensions with Brosnan became tabloid headlines. He admitted to Italian Vanity Fair in 2005 that he got very upset with her because she kept him waiting for hours and that he let slip words that were not very nice. He apologized after learning about the pregnancy. Watch their hotel reunion scene, filmed at Stoke Park, the same location used for the Goldfinger golf match. Notice how every Hatcher sequence limits physical activity. Hatcher later described Bond as such an artificial kind of character that offered no special satisfaction. The rushed quality of her scenes makes complete sense knowing the timeline. She was not even the producer's first choice. Number 7. Guts Otto had exactly 20 seconds to audition for the role of Stamper in front of producer Barbara Broccoli. She was on the phone, barely paying attention. Otto delivered his entire pitch in 5 seconds flat. I'm big, I'm bad, and I'm German. Then he added, that's 5 seconds. Broccoli gave him the role on the spot. It was his first casting call in his career. Watch Otto's 6'5" frame in every scene. He towers over every other performer, and his physical menace requires no dramatic technique because the audition pitch essentially became the character. Look carefully at the background cast throughout the film. Gerard Butler appears as a sailor aboard HMS Devonshire. Hugh Bonneville plays Bedford's captain, and future Downton Abbey creator Julian Fellows appears as the Minister of Defense. Another performer was not as fortunate as Otto. Number 6. Brosnan personally championed Monica Bellucci for the role of Paris Carver and arranged for her to screen test with him. MGM rejected her and insisted on casting an American actress. Brosnan later called the studio executives fools in a 2005 Playboy interview for turning Bellucci down. Actress Cella Ward also auditioned for the part. According to published reports, producers told Ward they wanted her but 10 years younger. Hatcher, 7 years younger than Ward at 32, ultimately won the role. Look at every Paris Carver scene filmed at Stoke Park and consider the alternate version that nearly existed. Bellucci would wait 18 years before finally appearing in the franchise as Lucia Ciara Inspector, directed by Sam Mendes. The casting of Carver's villain had an even bigger near miss that almost reshaped the entire film. Number 5. Anthony Hopkins was originally cast as media mogul Elliot Carver. Accounts conflict on what happened next. Some sources report he simply declined. Others claim he walked out after 3 days of production because no completed script existed. The production was in such disarray that Hopkins left to star in The Mask of Zorro instead, directed by Martin Campbell, the same filmmaker behind GoldenEye. Producers also considered Ian McKellen, Alan Rickman, and Terrence Stamp for the role. Price ultimately signed based on a draft by screenwriter Dan Petrie Jr., then arrived on set to discover he would be shooting a completely different version. Watch every Price scene knowing that Hopkins nearly delivered those same lines. Price delivers an excellent performance, but the what if lingers. The script chaos behind Hopkins' departure was very real. Number 4. Fairstein's first draft from August 1996 centered on a villain named Elliot Harmsway, who destroys Hong Kong during the 1997 handover to China. MGM sent the script to board member and former United States Secretary of State Henry Kissinger for review. Kissinger vetoed the entire plot, warning it would date the film immediately and risk serious political fallout just weeks after the real handover ceremony. Spottiswoode agreed with the concern, later noting that nobody truly knew whether the handover would be peaceful. Watch the final film carefully. Every trace of the Hong Kong handover has been erased. The geopolitics are deliberately vague, and all specific China conflict has been removed. That vagueness is not creative ambiguity, it is damage control from Kissinger's intervention. The veto triggered a production crisis that nearly destroyed everything. Number 3. Fairstein later described writing scenes in a tent outside the Bond stage, sending in pages as we were shooting. Brosnan stood on the stealth boat deck between takes, asking which direction his character should walk, and the answer was to wait because pages were still coming. Dame Judi Dench received knocks on her hotel room door at 9:45 at night, delivering entirely new scripts for the following morning's shoot. The final shooting script is dated August 18th, 1997, just 19 days before the September 5th wrap date. Watch every scene aboard the stealth ship in the third act. Brosnan's occasional uncertainty is not acting. It is a performer working from pages written that same week. An anonymous crew member told reporters that all the happiness and teamwork which defined Bond productions had disappeared completely. The situation got even worse. Number 2. After Kissinger's veto dismantled the original plot, MGM executive Jeff Kleeman flew 7 Hollywood screenwriters to London for a single emergency brainstorming weekend to rescue the film. The group included Nicholas Meyer, who had written Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, Dan Petrie Jr. from Beverly Hills Cop, Leslie Dixon from Mrs. Doubtfire, and Kurt Wimmer. One pitch that emerged from this room involved Brosnan performing an entire scene in drag. Meyer produced the draft that Spottis Wood preferred, but Broccoli and Wilson rejected it. Fairstein was fired, rehired, fired again, then brought back for a final polish. Watch the finished film knowing that no single creative voice controlled the story. The tonal inconsistencies across acts are 7 competing visions stitched together. Despite all this chaos, one element aged into brilliance. Number 1. Elliot Carver was modeled on Robert Maxwell, the British media baron who died falling from his yacht in 1991. The film's final scene has M instructing that Carver's death be reported as falling overboard from his yacht, a direct parallel, but Spottiswoode revealed in a 2004 interview that the character equally drew from Rupert Murdoch, whose Fox News channel launched just 1 year before the film's release. Carver's dialogue paraphrases William Randolph Hearst's famous line about furnishing the war, and his Declaration of Principles speech deliberately echoes Citizen Kane. Critics in 1997 dismissed the plot as implausible. Price later observed that Carver foresaw fake news and obviously gave Trump a lot of ideas. Multiple retrospectives now call this the most relevant Bond film today. The villain who seemed absurd predicted the world we actually live in. Tomorrow Never Dies was born from a fax typo, scripted in a tent, and held together by 7 competing writers while its original star walked out and its best casting choice was rejected. Every frame hides the scars of production chaos, from overdubbed dialogue to visible stunt drivers to crash test dummies replacing real humans. Yet its media manipulating villain accidentally predicted our entire information landscape 20 years early. Which hidden detail surprised you most, and what film should we open next?